Welcome to Embrace Your Spiritual Powers with I Am. Your host, Shangela Pierce, a spiritual healer from Sedona, and her guides, I Am, are here to reacquaint you with the miraculous spiritual powers you were born with. You can manifest health, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Join us today as you begin a new journey of enlightenment. Here is Shangela.
Welcome to episode 1 of Embrace Your Spiritual Powers with I Am. I am your host, Shangela Pierce. In today's episode, we are going to set the foundation of this podcast series and talk about what does embracing your spiritual powers mean to you. Before we begin, let's talk about our free masterclass. Join me and I Am for a free 3-hour masterclass where we give you the tools to embrace your spiritual powers. During this masterclass, we are going to do 3 activities. One will be getting a divine message by doing a guided meditation. Then we're going to learn how to decipher the messages from the divine. And then finally, we're going to practice channeling messages from the divine. If this resonates with your soul, please visit me on my website at seekwithinyou.com/masterclass, all one word. Okay, again, seekwithinyou.com/masterclass. I look forward to seeing you there. Intentions. Let's take a moment and set our intentions for today's podcast. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. What is it that you would like to experience today? What questions do you seek answers for? Whatever it is, relax and allow it to unfold. Now, the message from I Am. What is embracing your spiritual powers? What does that mean in a practical manner? Embracing your spiritual powers means understanding who you are. You are a spiritual being first and foremost, housed in a physical body and living in a creative world. As such, you have a non-physical part of you. You are not a machine placed here randomly on earth. That is not who you are. Embracing your spiritual powers means that you understand that you are living in a creative world and as such can create every aspect of your life. In fact, you already have been. When you can understand how you have been creating your reality, you can embrace this spiritual power and become that which you desire to become. There could be nothing holding you back except yourself. When you can understand that you embrace who you are, when you embrace your spiritual powers, you acknowledge who you are. You acknowledge and you forgive yourself for your current manifestations. You allow things to unfold. No one goes out to consciously create dis-ease or disharmony of the body, mind, or spirit. That is done from the unawakened consciousness. When you start to embrace your spiritual powers, you can forgive that and let it go. And you can be excited about what you can manifest now that you know how you create your reality. You become empowered to be that which you've always wanted to be. You become empowered to improve your health, to improve your well-being, to find that joy, to let that joy come out from you, to be grateful, to be all that and more than we can ever impress upon you. You are far more powerful than you can imagine. Embracing your spiritual power also means you understand that everything around you is energy. Everything within you is energy. It is all energy. You steadily shift your consciousness to understand this awareness. Every day you work towards this so that you become one with the idea. So you become one with who you truly are. You let go of the stories you've been told about who you are. You let go of the ego and you allow yourself to be guided from within. You have been taught to rely on others. You have been taught to rely on your teachers, your parents, all those in authorities who know best for you better than you know for yourself. You've been taught to detach yourself from the essence that is within you and to rely on others and your ego. Your ego knows what's best for you. We are here to tell you that you are far more powerful than you can imagine. You have the creative universe within you. You can allow this to unfold and become the greatest version of yourself. You can become anything that you desire. You do not have to be held back. You have the power to create whatever you desire. You have the power to heal yourself. You have the power within you. Yes, you can heal. Do not let the limited beliefs of others determine your fate. You must embrace your spiritual powers and start the journey to close the gap between what you have been taught and who you actually are. Work every day to bridge that gap. We are here to guide you. We love you. Start developing that relationship with the non-physical, or whatever you wish to call it, be it God or whatever that is to you. Develop that relationship with your non-physical source, your source of the highest love and vibration. We are here to assist you. You have this innate connection. We are constantly communicating to you. Unfortunately, most do not hear, most do not understand, most do not listen. We are here to guide you. We are here to help and love. When we say, embrace your spiritual powers and embrace that innate connection to your source, it does not mean that we want you to stop what you are doing now and totally immerse yourself in this. While we would be totally grateful for you to do that, we understand that it will be quite challenging for most to do this. What we are asking you to do is to start building that relationship with us. Us meaning your non-physical guides. Start building that trust. And in so doing so, as you build that trust, you understand when you are guided to something from a place of love, or if you are guided to something from a place of fear. You will begin to understand what you need in order to heal yourself. And you don't have to be afraid of what that answer is. You don't have to question it. You can let go and allow it because you know that that is who you are naturally. You can let go and allow the healing to unfold. You are so powerful. We want to remind you of that. As you begin to embrace your spiritual power, as you move towards who you truly are, you will heal. You will become. Build that trust so that you know what is right for you, so that you know when you are in alignment with health, so that you know when you are out of alignment with health. We've been communicating with you since the beginning, but again, most do not understand. Most do not understand the signs. When we tell you, when we communicate to you, you are not in alignment with who you are. We want you to start embracing that power so that you know you become. There are so many choices out there in the physical. It is mind-blowing that anyone can figure out anything. So many things have been created from those who do not understand this is a creative world. And so they preach that this is the way to go because it helped them. It does not have to help you. We want to guide you to what is best for you. What we see in our realm is different than what you see in yours. When you can rely on this spiritual power, your innate connection to that, we will guide you to what you need. Again, there will be no need to question. We are here to assist, to be of service to you out of love. Mold your life to become the embodiment of who you are. Again, stand grounded in your essence, your innate connection to the non-physical. Become the awakened consciousness. The more of you who do this, the more the planetary vibrational energy raises. The more we start taking care of this planet, the more we start loving each other. Because we understand that we are one. We are all one. We are all energy. We are all vibrational beings. Don't look at what you can get from the law of attraction, but who you can become. Become who you were destined to become. Our goal here is to help you become empowered to listen from within. As you become empowered, you will no longer need to listen to I am. You will have your own strong, innate connection to your source. You will have an effect sought within yourself. We encourage you to seek within you. As you are closing the gap on who you are and where you are currently, we will help guide you on things that you need for your health and well-being. We will give you tips. We will inspire you until you have built that strong innate connection to your non-physical source. We hope you join us on this journey. We love you. We want to see you in your highest light. Thank you. And peace and love. Namaste. Thank you, I am. That was a very powerful message from my spiritual guides, I am. I wanted to take the time to share with you my personal journey into embracing my spiritual powers. I would say that my journey started when my health started deteriorating in my mid-20s. I developed asthma. I developed chemical sensitivities. It literally felt like my body was falling apart, like it was no longer under my control. And I couldn't understand it because I always felt like I was healthy. I went the traditional route, which I really never liked doctors. I always liked to take care of my own self because in many respects, I felt like I didn't have control over my health as a child. Like I was thrown into the doctor's office. I had to follow the beliefs of my parents. And when I was just, as a child, I felt I knew what I needed to do, but I wasn't allowed to do that. So when I went to college, now my health, and now I can do what I want. But then now my body's starting to deteriorate. What's going on? I thought I was going to naturally get better. So I pretty much ignored what was happening and said, oh, it's going to get better. Because it always did, but it didn't. And so I had to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and after about a year or so, the basic prognosis was that it was never going to improve, that I was always going to get worse. I was in a bad state. I was using my inhaler as just a way to survive at least 5-6 times a day. I'm using my inhaler to breathe. The steroids that they gave me, they were making me sick. And again, the chemical sensitivities, it was really the slightest thing would just throw me into an allergic reaction. I knew that the rest of my life could not just continue to go this way. I had to do something had to happen. And so when they basically told me that, I wasn't going to get basically any better, it was just going to get progressively worse, and there's really nothing else that they could do. This was a chronic disease and that's it. I did not want to hear that. I felt in my soul that I could heal. And so I just said, okay, thank you. And then I left. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to be healed, and that was it. And so then I was guided to naturopathic medical school. Now you may be wondering, why do you need to go to medical school in order to heal yourself? While I was already exploring going to the next level beyond my master's. And so it was between going to get my PhD or going to medical school. And so I was strongly guided to go to medical school. And in medical school, I found a teacher who I went to, a naturopathic doctor, and she helped me start my healing process. It was pretty profound and pretty amazing. Now, you may be wondering, or maybe even thinking to yourself that that's what you need to do, is to go to a naturopathic doctor. And maybe it is. However, the story continues. As I continued in medical school, it became obvious to me that had I gone to another doctor, that they would have treated me in a totally different way. And so I began to question, well, would God or source or whatever it is in this universe, would they make it this complicated to get healed and to find the answers that you need? Why are there so many options out there? Why are there so many people claiming that they know the way to heal you? This is absolutely insane. So I'm really starting to investigate. I'm starting to ask the questions. And because I started asking the questions, I started receiving the answers. I came upon the law of attraction and was blown away. I listened to an audio of Esther Hicks when she talked about how Abraham spoke to her, and quite frankly, that scared me in the beginning. Interestingly enough, I listened to an audio of Conversations with God, Book 1, and that was really the book that really spoke to me. It really let me know that everything that I had felt in my soul was true. Everything that I felt was true was exactly what I knew it to be. And so then that just awakened me. I started to ask more questions, How do I do this? How do I move forward? And it became obvious to me that I was ready to shift to a new paradigm in the aspect of healing. However, in naturopathic medical school, it was still, in many respects, although I think way better than the traditional way of treating basically symptoms, in naturopathic medical school, they explore going to the root cause. However, from my perspective, they weren't really addressing the true root cause. And there really wasn't that acknowledgement that there is this spiritual aspect to who we are and that we all have this innate connection to Source. And so I questioned, my time there and why was I here? I just felt like I was being drawn and called to do something different. And so it was still challenging. And so I stuck around for quite a while. I stayed there for 3.5 years. And the program is only 4 years, but I just knew that it wasn't for me. It took me that long to come to that realization. I knew I had to go beyond that. It was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I could have stayed, I could have muddled through it, I could have done all that. But the options after getting the degree wasn't in alignment with what I knew I had to do, and so I left. And so then my life really changed because then I felt like I was lost in many respects. I felt like I lost my identity because I was so identified with what I was doing as opposed to who I am. And so I spent time meditating. I spent the next couple of years in my condo trying to figure out who I was, Who was I beyond the ego? What was I destined to do? I just knew I was destined to do something. I just didn't quite know what that was and how it would manifest itself. It was a very challenging time, but it was well worth it. It was well worth it to me. Every bit of insight that I received during that time, I stopped reading books from others because it became obvious that they were all saying the same thing. However, I needed to embrace it myself. And so I wanted to go directly to the source. And so I started developing that relationship with my source so that they could speak to me during that time. I let go and I made it my mission to allow my source to speak and work through me. And so I trained myself to do that. I basically trained myself to let go and trust and allow them to do their work. And so again, that became my journey. And I wrote my first book during that time. I had them keep it simple because I didn't want to be like this really big deal. It was fascinating how they began to talk to me. That was pretty amazing. The love that I received and the messages that I received. As they began to communicate with me more profoundly, I felt like I needed to name them so that I had a name to say. And so I just chose I am. It just seemed quite appropriate for this journey. And long story short, many years later of letting go, allowing, changing my mindset, I'm here now and talking to you, encouraging you to embrace your spiritual power. And you can. It's a journey. I continue every day because we're always closing the gap on what we know and how we live our daily lives. And I'm enjoying it most days, to be honest. Some days, it's quite challenging, but it's still all part of the journey. So yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. I honestly wouldn't. And I hope that by me sharing my story, it helps to encourage you to do the same. You don't necessarily have to, throw it all away like I did. I'm pretty stubborn and determined. I really like to figure things out myself. However, again, you don't have to do that. There are people here to guide you. I am one. I've made it my mission to help others who feel like they need the help. My mission is not to have you rely on guidance from my source, but to give you the strength to go and get guidance from yours, and so that you can help others do the same. The more of us that awaken to these powers, to our own innate powers, the more we shift this planetary energy, the more we start taking care of this planet, the more health ensues with others. There's just this snowball effect, We awaken others, and then this planet shifts. And then, we start to all live in more peace and harmony. And it just becomes, a place that we can literally call home. A place that is the light, that sheds more light than darkness. And so I hope that you can follow me and I am as we help you on your journey. Let's start the journey of building that relationship with your source through a simple exercise. If you already have a connection to your source, whatever you call it, ask your source to give you a sign that you understand that this is the path for you to take. If you have not developed that relationship, call it forth now. Ask your source of the highest vibration of love to start that communication with you so that you can build that trust. Ask your source again for signs that this is the path for you. Once you've invited that in, right? Once you've talked to the highest vibration of love and ask them to communicate with you, to start that communication. Now, call forth, ask them to give you a sign that you understand that this is the path for you. Give you multiple signs so that you make sure this is from your source, so that you know this is the path for you. We look forward to seeing you again next week for more guidance from I Am. Thank you, everyone. And again, if you are interested in joining us for our free masterclass, go to seekwithinyou.com/masterclass and sign up, and I will see you there. In peace and love. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed receiving your messages for your spiritual healing. Join us next week for more amazing information that will help you manifest health beyond your wildest dreams. For more inspiration and guidance from I Am, please visit www.seekwithinyou.com.